Hey everybody, Elizabeth Nader back with you, Jersey First TV and the Nader Narrative. Today's topic is one of my favorite, which is the good old US Constitution. And I'm thrilled to have as our guest today, Cathy Gillespie from constitutingamerica.org. Cathy, welcome to the program.
Well, thank you, Elizabeth. It's an honor to be here with you today.
Well, it's an honor to have you because you are fighting for what is so important to this country, which is for people to understand, to read, to actually embrace, and to be able to talk about our Constitution and how important it is to our country and really to the lives that we lead. So, we want to talk about your organization and what you do. Constitutingamerica.org. Now, this was founded by Janine Turner, which a lot of people know her from TV. I do. I remember a lot of things that Janine has done. And she brought you on when she founded this in 2010. So tell us, Cathy, you have a background in politics, a background in government. What was it about this organization that made you say, I've got to come on board to help run this?
Well, I've been a believer for a long time that culture really affects people's views, and so many people their views of our country are informed by celebrities and what they hear on the songs they hear on the radio or the TV shows or the films they hear. And when Janine had the idea to start Constituting America and called me up back in late 2009 and asked if I would co-chair it with her, it just seemed like the perfect thing to do, because she was coming at teaching kids about the Constitution through the arts, which of course she knows as an actress, as an Emmy and Golden Globe, 3-time Golden Globe nominated actress. But, Janine came to her love of the founding fathers and actually to acting through starring in a 5th grade play, 1776. And so she always remembered that. And she thought,
Yeah.
if that can instill a love for the Constitution in me all these years, I want to do that same thing with kids in this generation.
It seems like you guys had the foresight. I want to say back then, it wasn't that long ago, but 2009, 2010, to see where we are today, which is really, in a lot of ways, struggling to hold on to our roots, struggling to hold on to the ability to teach our children in the school system what the Constitution is all about, in a sense that there is this push out there to change us, to change our very foundation. So you guys were a little bit ahead of your time. Now, when you look at the environment out there, do you see how we are struggling really to maintain those documents and those ideals and those founding principles that really made this country great?
Well, we definitely are. And, even back in 2010, we saw it coming. We both had kids in school back then, and we saw that our kids weren't learning what we remembered learning about the Constitution and
Yeah.
just, the very basics, the 3 branches and the separation of powers, the fact that we're a republic and not a democracy. And we go into schools today and we have 2 different presentations that we do. One is on the US Constitution, and then one is on how to have a civil civic conversation. And the US Constitution will do a pre-test and we'll do a post-test. And it's amazing how many kids don't know that we're a republic. We'll go in and maybe 25% of the class will know that we're a republic. They won't know what even
Yeah.
a republic is. And afterwards we'll get them up to about 95%, or they can't name the 3 branches, or they don't know what order the founders put them in and why. So we are really glad that we did start it when we did, because the need has just become more great over the past 10 years.
So let's talk about the ways that you get into the classrooms. And this is something that a public school, a private school, homeschooling, micro school, charter school, any number of schools can engage with you. So let's talk, Cathy, about the things that you actually provide.
Well, we have got several programs for the schools. As I mentioned, we do have our Constitution speech that we do, where we operate off a 10-question quiz and just some of the very basics on the Constitution. And the great thing about that is that we teach the kids the basics, but then we also teach them how they might use these rights in order to maybe make a change that they want to see. Because these days, when kids think about how they want to change things in their government, the first thing they think of is they want to go to the streets and protest. And we've got a lot of public schools these days who are even giving kids time off to go join in protest, yet they're not educating them about
Right.
how the system works. And so we teach them they want to be educated citizens before they're engaged. But, once they want to engage, we also teach them how. We teach them an acronym called RAPS, which spells out their First Amendment rights: religion, assembly, press, petition, and speech, and then how they would use each of those in order to make a change they want to see. And they get excited about that. I mean, kids, they want to know that they matter and that they can
Yeah.
make a difference, and they love getting these tools. But we also have a contest for that kids can enter, and we have exciting categories. We have your standard essay contest, but we also have kids can compete with best song, best public service announcement, best short film. For the science and math kids, we even have STEM. We have kids that design apps for us and make
Wow.
websites, all Constitution themed. And then the great thing about our contest is we actually promote these kids' works, and we give the kids a chance to impact the culture with the Constitution and with their winning works. We get their songs played on the radio, PSAs played on TV, short films entered and accepted into film festivals. So it's just a great opportunity, really, as you said, for public, private, homeschools. We speak to all of them.
Quite a reach with all of those creative works. And for everyone listening, if you go to constitutingamerica.org, you can see a lot of these projects that are done by these children after they've gone through the process of learning more about the Constitution. I want to show one of them that is on your website, and it was done by Laura Lee Hicks, age 18, from Mississippi. And this is a short film she did called If You Have Something Powerful. So this is an example of a student who was able to put together something from her own talents that you then shared in different formats, in different media. Let's take a look at that right now, Cathy.
If you had something that you were given, something you loved, something that others wanted so badly but were denied it, something that you used and relied on every single day. If you had something special, something beautiful, something powerful. If you had something absolutely essential to securing your health, happiness, and safety. If you treasured something so much that you were willing to die for that something. If you knew that others already had. And if someone had given you a document that protected that something, wouldn't you take the time to read it?
Very well done. So this is a student who went through one of your programs, and then she decided to create this film. And then
Mhm.
you guys actually entered it in. Did you enter in contests or you distribute it? What did you do with it?
We got it played on TV. It's been played on, I think, 271 TV stations around the nation. It's had millions of impressions. We've also have a radio version that we just started this past year, and our kids' PSAs as a package just in 1 year had 54 million impressions on 21 radio stations across the nation. It was also the one we just saw was entered and accepted into film festivals. So often now, we're living in this soundbite culture
Yeah.
that film festivals are now accepting 1 minute films. And
Yeah.
so she's been entered and accepted in several different film festivals across the nation. So she's really impacted the culture with her message.
I mean,
And
it's a moving short film. It really is. I mean,
yeah.
it gets right to the connection that a lot of people have and feel towards the Constitution. Why do you think children react this way, school age children, when you teach them the Constitution? I was watching a lot of the different clips that are on your website, and it's like they have almost an emotional response to it. Why is that?
They're excited about learning about it. First of all, they're not always learning about it in the traditional classroom, and these kids do want to make a difference, and they all have strong opinions, and they want to be able to express themselves in a way that people will listen to them. And our second program that we do is how to have a civil civic conversation, because, as you know, we live in a cancel culture these days, and
Yeah.
then so often only one point of view is allowed. And so with our how to have a civil civic conversation program, we'll, in conjunction with a teacher, choose a contentious issue. We've done whether or not to build the wall, whether cell phones should be allowed in school.
Mhm.
We've done gun rights, but we'll bring in pro and con articles on both sides and teach the kids how to speak with each other and how to listen to each other.
Sure.
And they learn these tools, and then they actually get together and write a bill. And we've had so many kids tell us that they had never even heard the other side of certain issues. We'll have kids changing their mind in the classroom because they're like, wow, I never saw an argument about why we should build the wall. I just heard why we shouldn't. And it's just they really enjoy it. And when we first started this program, we had a donor who contributed some funds for us to do a poll with teachers about how teachers felt about discussing controversial issues in the classroom. And a majority of the teachers that we polled across the nation did everything they could to not
Of
discuss these
course.
issues
Sure.
because they're afraid.
Mhm.
They don't want to be criticized from the parents. And so they're not teaching the kids. The kids aren't getting this practice. And so
Right.
we're raising a generation of kids that don't know how to listen to people with whom they disagree.
Well, it's the lack of critical thinking, right? And
Exactly.
not teaching that. I mean, I can remember learning debate, and in part of debate is to research the other side. You didn't
Mhm.
always get the side that you agreed with, and so you were forced to do the research and find out what the arguments could be for the other side, which forced you to think critically. I think one of the most major things that's missing right now in the school system. Now, are you being embraced by the public school system? How is that going, and how are you getting in there?
Well, that's a great question. And I want to, first of all, invite all of your listeners to contact us at constitutingamerica.org. You can click on Book a Speech and invite us to speak to your school. The best way that we get into the public schools is from teachers, directly with the teachers, and from people who know teachers who want to invite us in. We've got some great relationships also across the nation with social studies coordinators we've had a school district in Spring, Texas that had to speak to every eighth grader and 12th grader in the entire school district.
Mhm.
And but so often it's just that individual teacher that wants us to come in and augment what the teacher is teaching. We do have over half of our presentations are in Title I or low income schools. And so often I have people tell me, thank you so much for coming. No one ever offers our school programs like this.
Sure.
So we really do love to go into the public schools and especially the schools that don't always get these types of programs.
It's interesting. We're seeing from a legislative standpoint where bills are being passed forcing certain curriculum, right?
Mhm.
Forcing our teachers to teach certain curriculum. And a lot of people get upset about that. Have you seen anybody trying to force the teaching of the Constitution? And I can't believe I'm even saying that, but, we're looking at these bills that are being passed in some of these more liberal states. And here in New Jersey, we've been fighting that where they want to teach certain things to kindergartners that should be taught at home. So at what point can we start to actually look at legislation that says, hey, we're going to mandate teaching the Constitution? I mean, shouldn't be an original thought, but we almost need to do that, Cathy.
Well, you might not be surprised by some of the states that do have that,
Mm,
Florida,
there
Arizona,
you go.
Texas. But there's a movement across the country to get as many states as we can to pass bills to encourage teaching of the Constitution, founding principles. I think North Carolina has got a bill along those lines. Uh, I think Governor Ducey's bill in Arizona has 12th graders are required to be able to pass a certain percentage of the citizenship test, which is great.
Yeah.
And then Governor DeSantis in Florida is more geared towards eighth graders in middle school. And actually, we were right before the pandemic started. We were in some schools in Florida because the teachers needed the help, and they all of a sudden had these new requirements to teach the Constitution, and they were trying to get ready to do that. So we were in some schools in West Palm doing that.
So we are seeing it legislatively in some of the red states, which is great, which is great. We need that help here in New Jersey, though,
Yeah.
Cathy. We really do. Now, what do you and Janine say to people, say to students, even teachers who make the comments like the Constitution has to evolve? It was written so long ago, it's not relevant. And here you see our tagline, your tagline, teaching the relevancy of the U.S. Constitution. It's kind of crazy that we have to say that, but how do you answer that argument that, it needs to evolve for the time?
Well, we teach them, first of all, about the amendment process. And if there's something that they don't like about the Constitution, they should follow the process and amend it. And we tell them a very inspiring story about Gregory Watson, who, as a University of Texas student, got the 27th Amendment passed. And we tell them that if he can do that as a college student, you can do that too. So there are, the Constitution has built-in mechanisms to change it. And the judges or justices kind of morphing the Constitution is not really the right way to do it. The right way is to follow the process the founders intended, which is to amend it if it needs to be changed.
Which is another key thing to teach, right? That we're not supposed to be changing this from the bench, right?
Yeah.
As a result of court cases, which sadly enough, that's been the case for so long. I wonder, how did we get to the point where supporting the Constitution became an issue of the right and not supporting it became an issue of the left? Really shouldn't be a political issue, but somehow, Cathy, we wake up and find ourselves there.
Well, it does seem like that sometimes. Actually, one of the questions on our quiz for the kids is the Constitution for Republicans, Democrats, Libertarians, the Green Party? And, we teach them the Constitution is for all parties.
Yeah.
And so that is one key principle that we do teach in the schools. And, I do think, though, when you watch who is in the White House, it is interesting. It does seem that the opposite party is often embracing the Constitution more when their candidate is not in the White House sometimes. But, it's definitely a document for all political parties, and we need everyone to read it and know it. Because if you don't know what your rights are, you don't know when they're taken away.
Well, this is the topic du jour, right? Is really civil liberties and rights and everything that we've seen in the past 22 months, almost 2 years now. Imagine that, where we've been in a situation where, rights are being taken away. No matter how you feel about it, understanding what your rights really are and what they're founded in and where they come from is quite critical. So this is so exciting. And I want to encourage everyone to go look at constitutingamerica.org. We need you in New Jersey. So the more that we can see you in the classrooms and in even the teaching pods that we have a lot of homeschooling here. I noticed on your website, there are links to a lot of material. So it's not even just you coming in and doing, a conversation or a presentation, but there are also a lot of links to materials on your site. Can you talk about that?
Yes, we have every year we do a 90-day study on founding documents. And so every day for 90 days, we'll publish an essay from a different scholar, follow a schedule. We have done the Federalist Papers, the Constitution, the amendments. We've done all three branches of government. We've done the states. We've got a great set of essays on every single state in the nation and how they became a state, and a little bit on their state constitution. This year, we did important dates in American history last year. And this year, we're doing a great study on American exceptionalism, showing we're going to examine regimes throughout world history that have failed and talk about why they failed and juxtaposition them with founding principles in our country that have kept our country from failing, unlike these others in history. So we're very excited. That launches April 18th. Which happens to coincide with the day that Paul Revere made his famous ride. So
I love that. That's such a perfect thing to line up with. Cathy, this is really exciting stuff, and we want to work more closely with you and hopefully see you here in New Jersey in some of these classrooms. Love what you guys are doing. And, I think it's interesting in this country, we have a tendency to swing to extremes at times as Americans. And I think in some ways we've swung away from the Constitution, and I see us getting back. I see us starting to embrace it in a whole generation as a result of what you and Janine are doing and others. re-embracing those things that made us great. You know, it's like the foundation of a house. You don't want to change it. You know, that's what makes you strong. You can redecorate all day long, and we do that, don't we, in DC? But
Yeah.
it's the foundation and what you guys do that really makes us strong. So thank you, and share our grateful hearts with Janine for you guys stepping out and helping this generation.
Well, thank you. And thank you for all your great work that you're doing in New Jersey. And I end up spending a lot of time in New Jersey. So if anyone wants to invite us to speak, I could come in person. We can hopefully have Janine come in remotely. You know, we've got other great speakers on our speaking team. We've got Cully Stimson, who was just recently left the Heritage Foundation, who's a wonderful speaker. He's a JAG officer, former prosecutor. So he's great on the Bill of Rights. So anyway, please invite us. We'd love to come. And thank you so much.
All right. That's great, Cathy. Thank you so much. And again, everyone, constitutingamerica.org. I know a lot of people listening are going to want to go to that site and figure out how to get this into the school system. So we appreciate you, Cathy. We'll have you back on.
Okay. Thanks so much, Elizabeth. You have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank
And
you.
to my audience, guys, we'll see you next week.